So I want to talk to you a little bit about some of your testimony. You were asked probably no fewer than 15 times the emotions you were feeling after you found your wife dead and dumped her body. You described deception, right?
Yes, ma'am.
You described guilt.
Yes, ma'am.
You described disgust.
Yes, ma'am.
You described shame.
Yes, ma'am.
You described anger at yourself.
Yes, ma'am.
You described betrayal.
Yes, ma'am.
You described fear,
Yes, ma'am.
substantial fear.
Yes, ma'am.
You described stress.
Yes, ma'am.
You described exhaustion.
Yes, ma'am.
In all of the times you were asked, you never once said grief, did you?
I did not, but I did say loss.
Okay. You never said sadness, did you?
I said emptiness.
Okay.
This is a classic prosecutor's tactic, focusing not on what the witness said, but what he didn't say. Notice the contrast being drawn here. The witness lists guilt, fear, shame, and anger, but not grief or sadness. The prosecution is subtly asking the jury a powerful question. Are these the emotions of a grieving husband or someone worried about getting caught? What do you think? Does that distinction matter? Or are people simply unpredictable in moments of trauma?
You testified that you went through this elaborate lie of your wife being missing and telling everybody that she was missing because otherwise people would assume the worst.
Yes, ma'am.
What's the worst?
The situation I'm in now.
What is the worst?
Going to jail.
They would assume that you murdered your wife.
Yes.
Okay. And you have testified that after you were at Willowa, essentially, you have no memory of the evening.
Yes.
Okay. That gun's a loud gun to shoot?
Say again?
That gun is a loud gun to shoot?
I mean, relatively to a normal person, yes.
Okay. What do you mean to a normal person?
To someone who didn't shoot artillery,
Okay.
say the sound of a 9mm is loud, but
And you went to bed next to your wife?
I can't tell you for sure because I don't remember.
Okay.
Pay close attention to this exchange. The prosecutor isn't claiming she knows exactly what happened. She's highlighting the witness's own admission that he doesn't know whether he pulled the trigger. In a courtroom, uncertainty can be just as impactful as a direct accusation. For jurors, statements like, "I don't know," can create a huge credibility dilemma. How would you evaluate testimony when the person at the center of the event says they can't remember the critical moment?
And you have no idea what happened until the next morning,
Yes, ma'am.
despite the neighbor more than, 80 feet away hearing that weapon.
Objection, argumentative.
Overruled.
Okay. How do you know, sir, that she didn't confront you with those Instagram and Snapchat messages, and you didn't put the gun to her head and tell her you were going to kill her? How do you know that you didn't pull the trigger?
I don't.
Okay. You don't know.
No, ma'am.
You want the jury to believe that she did this to herself?
Objection.
Overruled. It's not up to me what the jury believes.
Okay. Despite the fact that she was otherwise happy in your marriage, yes,
Yes.
and planning for her future
Yes.
and your future,
Yeah.
and tried to have a good evening with you on your birthday,
Mm-hmm.
and had forgiven you for text message infidelity in the past, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So you don't know that you didn't kill her.
Can you restate that question?
You don't know that you didn't kill her.
I'm not sure how to answer that. There's a lot of do's and don'ts. It's just too complicated.
Do you know if you pulled the trigger, sir?
I do not.
Okay. That night, Soraya wasn't drunk.
I don't remember much from that night.
Okay. Would you agree that up until the part you can remember, she was the least drunk of your group?
Her or...
This section shifts from emotion to mechanics. The prosecutor is methodically establishing that the firearm required multiple deliberate actions, disengaging the safety and pulling the trigger. Whether the jury sees that as evidence of intent or simply a factual detail will be crucial. It's a reminder that in many criminal cases, tiny technical details can become major battlegrounds.
Someone else that was with us, yeah.
Who's someone else? Let's be specific.
One of my friends, Zach.
Okay. So her, Zach, were the most sober.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And was Soraya taking care of you?
From what I've been told, yeah.
Okay. Do you recall her helping you to the gaslight?
I do not.
Do you recall her helping you into the Uber
I do not.
and into the house?
I do not.
Okay. You kept that gun loaded
Yes, ma'am.
with a bullet in the...
And here comes one of the prosecution's strongest themes, conduct after the death. Notice the rapid-fire list. Number 911 call. No attempt to seek help. No calls to family or friends. Instead, the questioning pivots toward planning and concealment. Prosecutors often argue that actions immediately after a tragedy can reveal a person's state of mind. The defense, of course, may argue panic, shock, or impaired judgment. Which interpretation sounds more convincing to you?
The chamber?
I did.
Okay. What do you have to do to fire it?
Take the safety off and pull the trigger.
How do you take the safety off?
The thumb switch.
And pull the trigger
Yes, ma'am.
once? So I want to get to, because you don't remember anything about her death, I want to get to the morning when you wake up.
Okay.
You were soaked in blood?
I was not.
Okay. You've seen the photographs of the mattress?
I have.
And you were laying in bed with her?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You didn't call 911.
Correct.
You didn't take life-saving measures.
No, I did not.
Okay. You didn't run outside and ask for help.
No,
You didn't call her mom.
I did not.
You didn't call her best friend.
This is where the timeline starts to matter. Investigators and jurors frequently look for the very first steps someone takes after a major event. The prosecution appears to be building a narrative that the witness wasn't reacting to a sudden loss. He was constructing a story. Whether that narrative holds up depends on how the jury connects all these individual actions together.
No,
You didn't call her command.
no.
You started planning how to protect yourself.
I wouldn't phrase it that way, but
Okay. You started planning how to dispose of her body.
I started planning on what I was going to do next.
Okay. And the first thing you did is you went to the Alaska Bush Company homepage, right?
I don't remember doing that,
Okay.
but
Were you looking for a potential other alibi or excuse? Some other thing you could blame her death on?
What a striking ending to this segment. The witness says he remembers discovering his wife deceased, yet repeatedly says he cannot remember where the gun was located or whether he cleaned it. Those memory gaps are exactly the kind of details jurors tend to scrutinize during deliberations. As this cross-examination unfolds, the central question remains the same. Are these genuine gaps in memory, or gaps that raise even more questions than answers?
I can't tell you what was going through my mind because I don't really remember looking that up.
You mapped to the Castle Mega Store
Mm-hmm.
before you texted her into work.
Yes, ma'am.
Why'd you do that?
I can't really tell you because I don't remember.
Okay. Again, were you planning some other potential excuse for what had happened for her?
At that point, I hadn't had a plan together.
Okay. But you started getting the plan together when you texted her work.
Yes, ma'am.
And you texted Nadia Jones, her immediate manager,
Yes, ma'am.
and you told her that she had food poisoning. You texted her as Soraya,
Yes, ma'am.
and you told her that she had food poisoning
I did.
and that she wouldn't be into work today.
Yes, ma'am.
And she told you to call Craig? Or message Craig?
Believe so.
Okay. And you didn't know that Soraya had Craig's number saved in her phone under a different name?
Did not.
Okay, so you didn't call or text Craig? Right? Okay. What was the first thing you did to clean up her body?
Clean the surrounding areas.
Does that mean the floor?
Clean the surrounding areas in the bedroom, the floor.
When did you discover the gun?
That would have been after I saw that my wife was dead with a gunshot wound.
You didn't say on direct examination, where was it? Do you remember?
I do not.
Okay, so you can't even tell the jury that it was near her?
I cannot.
Was it in the bathroom?
I don't know.
Was it on the floor?
I don't know.
Was it on the dining room table?
I don't know.
You remember finding her deceased, but don't remember where you found the gun?
Yes.
Okay. Did you clean the gun?